Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We are looking into this topic. Why do children drift into the wrong ways? Need to look at this little bit more carefully. Are they really drifting? And are the ways they're going or taking, are they really wrong? And wrong according to who? How do I know that I'm on the right path and I'm guiding my children to be on the same path, which I think is right? This question I had growing up, like I could see like white dress is rejected in some classes of people and adored in some other classes of people or cultures, religions. And Sundays are bad for some, very good for some. Tuesdays are bad to give money, and somewhere it is very good to get money. All these things confused me, as to how come something is good and something is bad, and some people like live by it. So, and once we started, or I started exploring these different concepts or the belief systems that we have, what is really good, what is really right, what is really wrong was something that comes up again and again. But for sure, there is some fear associated when I see my child not aligning with my way, my thoughts, my family traditions, culture, and I think they're going the wrong way. So that is something. Why does the child want to drift away from whatever I raised them to believe? Did they truly believe what I gave to them? And again, go back to my own childhood days when somebody said, or my parents said, I drifted away. She is a rebel. She doesn't do what we ask her to do or what our family has been doing. Now, somewhere deep down, there is this fear of bearing the brunt. If I say yes to something, it'll all come upon me and all upon me. That's bearing the brunt. There's always, we shy away from taking responsibility. We shy away from inviting people home. We start distancing emotionally, physically, socially, financially, practically. We start separating ourselves a little bit because I fear that if I give in a little bit, then the entire me will be taken over. Could be one of the reasons why I start drifting away. It was definitely that for me. I drifted away from going to temples because I did not like flowers. And the minute I step into any celebrations, cultural events, India, it is all flowers. So for me, that was a big nervous, super hypersensitivity. I could not tolerate the smell, the sight, and only thing was for me to drift away. I could not really talk about it. The very first time I talked about it is probably when I was 40 plus, 45-ish, to my father. He kind of understood it, but he had very limited ways of creating that environment for me. The best way was to move away, restrict myself, not engage, avoid all the possibilities. And then I became a social rebel, right? So somewhere that bearing the brunt, if I go there, I'll be inundated with it. I can't handle it. People will ask me to touch it, feel it, distribute it, whatnot. So better not go. Right. So it closed me from that pain for sure. The fear of bearing it. I avoided it. I stayed by myself, but I also lost opportunities. I lost opportunities to connect to all the people who came for that event celebration. I lost opportunity to connect to the cultural roots, understand the significance. I would not want to even understand significance of the event or celebration or specialty of the day, because if I understand, I need to do, and I don't want to do. I cannot say I will do without flowers, because that's a big no-no. So it cut me off from certain aspects of growth, some connection from meaning, because I wanted to avoid certain brunt or the pain. So was I really drifting away? I mean, this started way from my childhood, and my mother will definitely say, oh, she's just defiant about this whole thing. There is this blanket statement, and she will say, I've drifted away. But did I really? Is something we need to look at. Why was this shift within me? Was it something that triggered something I could overcome? I have known people who cannot stand the smell of yogurt, curds, forget eating it, the cream on the milk. They just cannot stand it. And tomatoes, So, and they start avoiding, unconsciously withdrawing. They're scared of lizards, and I've seen one of the treatment is, for the therapist will ask me to close my eyes, and she'll put this big spider on my hand, and I would not know that she would be putting spider because I'm scared of spiders. And then it'll crawl on my hand, and she'll say it's just a stick that I'm moving around, whatever. And she will let me stay with that feeling, for my nervous system to accept it. And then after 2, 3, 5 minutes or whatever, she'll ask me to open my eyes, and I see spider, and I won't scream. Supposedly I have understood that it has done nothing to me, and it works. And I took a similar treatment where I had to stare at someone wearing flowers that were wilting, and I have this jitters even when I drive over a garland or whatever that's fallen on the road. So I did it. It had a little bit of impact, and a little bit of that extreme sensitivity has reduced. It's still there. I still avoid, and I don't know what that is. So somewhere all of these exist in us, and we try to drift away from situations like that. And somewhere I think it's only me who has to carry it. So I would not want to do it. I could have easily delegated for someone to do. I could have openly said and still participate in the events. I mean, some forcibly that I could not avoid, I have done it. But it's a natural reflex. When somebody invites me for a wedding, it's like I always have something to do, or I create something for myself to do so I can avoid going there. And now I'm consciously working on it. But that part of me, that withdrawing or fear of taking the brunt, I definitely have influence on my children. Because I went through that extreme reaction to it, and I worked on it over a period of time. Somewhere when my children start drifting away, I question, when when I am thinking they're drifting away, what I am thinking as the path, is it the right one? Or are they exploring? Maybe some other path is, less brunt bearing for them, or something that I could not delegate, I could not say no to, or reduce that responsibility and feel burdened. They are doing it. They may be trying to give away the responsibility to somebody, then I think they're drifting away. Like let's say I have a belief that I need to sweep and mop my floor. I have to do it myself, right? And my children say, no, I'll hire somebody to do it. They have delegated that job as long as the floor is clean. And I think they have drifted away. Now that they have money, they have a maid, they don't want to do this physical work. They have drifted away from physical work. They have drifted away from the responsibility of keeping their house clean. Is that right? Is something that I need to look at as a parent. Am I withdrawing from the fear of bearing this brunt? Am I sometimes overextending? ignoring myself. I have to bear this blunt. There's nobody other than me who will bear this blunt. There are certain temperaments, who will bear the brunt no matter what, however simple, silly, not silly, but simple thing it is for some other kind of person or temperament, they will bear the brunt. Somewhere if I start blaming somebody for giving me that brunt, then I will get into this emotional defensiveness. Blaming is that, and children may acquire it. And somewhere I have to build, I have to redistribute that load, I have to define my boundaries. I mean, now I'm able to do, if there are flowers, I won't be there. Or I will make sure I remain at a very, very safe distance. And it was one time, I was at a relative's home. I was sitting for lunch, and everybody knows that I don't wear flowers. I was having my lunch, and the cousin of mine says, "No, now Shubha can't do anything. She cannot run away, so we have to put a flower on her head." I got so intensely furious, and I just shouted, "If you try and do that, I'm going to get up and walk away from here, never come back here." And people were like, "Oh my God, what's so bad about this whole thing?" So there was this kind of vengeance, that anger that just came out. And just the fear, or that fact that I'm wearing. So it's like, oh my God, Shubha is so antisocial. I mean, she's like, just for this, she's doing the drifting away. So it's like, how do I hold life without holding it all by myself? Create a few people who understand me. Can I talk to such people? Can I be that parent to the child who they can say without feeling burdened, without feeling ridiculed, without feeling put away, still holding their dignity and respect? Then they'll definitely want to take the responsibility. They definitely will have compassion. None of us want to be away from people, away from society, away from my family. But all of us want that space for safe expression. I want to remain open without being crushed. And my fear is that I'll be crushed. So, question for me to ask is, when did my child stop feeling safe to express with me, at least with me, if not with the whole wide world? Because none others really care as much as I might. And sometimes even parents don't care. That's another issue. But children are not drifting because they are wanting to do something wrong. They are drifting because they are trying to escape. It's a coping mechanism. They want to get away from something that feels too heavy for them to carry and for them to solve. And somehow they want it to be magically resolved, which unfortunately doesn't so easily happen, right? So let's try to recognize first of all that my child may be deviating a little. What's the reason? Can I create that environment for them? Thank you.